Okay, guys, I got some big news here for you guys on Social Security and Medicare Trust Fund. Its Social Security is set to potentially run out of money in as little as 10 years or less, based on the new Congressional Budget Office report directly from the government. I'll give you the details of it here. As you can see here, Senate group is eyeing Social Security changes. Yeah, as Biden hits Republicans over benefits. There's a lot of political turmoil here over fixing Social Security, but they're going to have to do this here. If they keep putting it off, then, well, Social Security and Medicare trust funds just going to run out of money. Some people say they've waited too long to begin with here. But we'll go over the details here on the changes of what they're talking about here in this video. Yeah, so thanks so much for liking these videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to click the subscribe button, then the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos. And first, I want to address a question here that I see in the comments a lot. I always see a lot of people say, well, why can't I just get my money back from Social Security? Why? I just want to get what I paid back in. I see a lot of people say this here. And the congressman, he was a Republican congressman who was in charge of the Social Security side for the congressional panel here for years addressed this. He said, we would take that bet if we could all day long, because here's a perfect example. I seen this in the comment section. Yeah, so I seen this in a comment section of one of my past videos, and I took a screenshot of it. So Tammy Baker asked this question. Thanks so much, Tammy. And I took a screenshot of this. She said, Jimmy, good evening, and I hope you had a wonderful birthday. Thank you so much. I want to know how you figure anyone gets back more back in Social Security than they or we paid in. I understand what you're saying. However, you keep saying what you paid in 20 years ago. But it's not just that, it's the money we've all paid in from the time we started working until we stop. Let's just say the average person works from 18 to 67. That's almost 50 years of paying in. And many people don't live to see any retirement benefits. The rest of us will be lucky to draw it for 20 or 25 years. So half the time we paid in, if you're blessed. Yeah, and I can understand that line of thinking. And this money we've been paying in all these years, I thought it was supposed to be accruing interest. I don't know. I'm just curious. Thank you for your research and time. You're very much appreciated. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that. And I'll show you this gentleman's response here in a second. But her line of thinking is, I paid in for 50 years, but I'm not going to get 50 years worth of payments back. And I could totally understand here. But what you have to remember is the dollars and cents, the actual dollars amounts you paid in. And here was one of our viewers' responses, Howard. And I blanked out his last name just for privacy concerns, because he says the actual dollars amounts here. Take a look at this. So Howard says here, Tammy, let me give you an example. I just retired at 65 a few months ago. During my working career, which started at age 16, I paid in just under $161,000. He says $160,978 to Social Security. So he knows the exact amount, and he probably got that in a statement from Social Security here. He says, if I started my benefits now, I am actually waiting until age 70, I would get $3,129 a month. At that rate, it would only take me a little over 51 months or 4 years and 3 months to get back everything I paid in. So even though he paid into Social Security for, almost 50 years, what is that? 49 years, it's only going to take him 4 years and 3 months to get back all of what he paid in. And the reason for this is, here's the perfect example. When I started my first job at, I think I was age 14, I worked at an amusement park, sweeping the floors. And then eventually I worked in games and stuff like that. The minimum wage back then was $4.25. Well, you pay in 6.2% Social Security. Well, 10% of 425 would be $4 or 42 cents. Okay. So 42 cents an hour is what I was paying in. So that's the 10%. So 6.2% would be less than that. So maybe call it a quarter an hour. Okay. So I was only paying 25 cents an hour into Social Security. So if they only gave me back everything that I paid in, well, that would only be a quarter an hour. You see the problem here? You can't survive on a quarter an hour. Yeah, so you wouldn't want to take only back what you paid in because you can't survive on a quarter an hour nowadays. But the difference is that the Social Security puts that money in and it grows. It's invested into treasuries, treasury T-bills, treasury bonds for that 40 years, that or 30 years or however many years, right? Until you hit retirement age, okay? And this is also why so much money is coming out of Social Security as well. But to finish here, he says, if I live the average span of a 66-year-old male, he says, which would take me to 83 years and 4 months, I would have collected $650,832, or more than 4 times what I paid in. So this is where you can see why Social Security tends to run in trouble a little bit. Because if he lives to 83 years old, he will have collected $650,000, even though he only paid in $160,000. And if he only lives 4 years and 3 months past when he takes Social Security, he will have broke even. And everything past that is free money or is a gain. So you can see here how Social Security pays you more back than what you gained, and you're getting more. And if he lives to 83, he'll collect 650,000, and if he lives past 83, he'll be collecting even more than that. Now, of course, I'm going to have some people that say, well, Jimmy, I don't get $3,129 a month. Remember, the average Social Security is around $1,500 a month. Some people make more, some people make less, but it's still the same thing percentage-wise. So if you only paid in $80,000 in your lifetime of working Social Security and your benefits are half as much, it still might take you about the same amount of time, maybe 4 years or so, 5 years or something like that, to make the amount of money back in Social Security, okay? Because again, you would have paid less in, so you might make less back, and it might take you 4 or 5 years or something like that to get back everything you paid in. And it's the same kind of thing because it's all based on how much you paid in, is how much you get back. Because again, how much you paid in is based on how much money you get back in your monthly earnings. Okay, that's how it's calculated, how much money you get on a monthly basis. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for a lot of you guys. And remember, this last cost of living adjustment, 8.7% here from 2022 going into the COLA raise for 2023, the Social Security raise in 2023, was the 4th largest raise ever. So that takes a lot of money out of the Social Security Trust Fund, because remember, when you were paying in years and years, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, was pennies on the dollar compared to the money that they're giving back to you now. Okay, so now they're giving you today's dollars plus 8.7%, but you were paying pennies back then. So this takes a large amount of money out of the Social Security Trust Fund. And people really haven't kind of thought this all through. They're saying, why is Social Security running out of money? I don't understand. But if you really think this type of stuff true, you could say, oh, yeah, I do kind of understand now. All this money's coming out. And in addition to that, the baby boomer generation, which is a large percentage of the people, is now retiring. So you have this large percentage of the people now retiring. They're now drawing on benefits and no longer paying into the Social Security system as well. So that's kind of a double boom to the thing. So they're just going to have to tweak some things to the system. And here's what they're talking about right now. So you can see here, Senate Group I's Social Security changes, which they're going to have to do. They're going to have to make some changes, or else Social Security runs out of money, and Medicare and health costs. All this stuff is kind of tied in. A bipartisan Senate duo is working on a package of changes to Social Security, wading into choppy political waters as President Biden pummels Republicans on the issues ahead of his expected reelected bid, which honestly, Republicans and Democrats fighting over this is honestly not a good thing because they need to fix it. They need to change it. They need to adjust some things. Because if they keep just not doing anything, it's just going to get worse and worse the closer they get to running out of money. Senator Bill Cassidy, a Louisiana Republican, and Angus King, an independent from Maine, who caucuses with the Democrats, are leading an effort aimed at bringing the parties together to preserve and protect the retirement security of all Americans now and long into the future, they said in a joint statement on Friday. The Social Security Fund will be insolvent in less than a decade, Cassidy and King said, adding that they are hearing out all possible pieces of that equation. So there, you can see it right there. They said it in a quote. The Social Security Fund will be insolvent in less than a decade. There it is, right there in their quote. They are hearing out all possible pieces of the equation like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill did in 1983. And that's when they made one change. They raised the retirement age, and that helped a little bit, but they're going to need to make some more changes. And leaning on a proven financial model to do so. According to a trustees report, Social Security Trust Fund is solvent until 2034. That's a different report than the CBO report, which says it could run out in 9 years. Okay, again, these are projections because we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future, which says which benefits would reduce to 77% and decline to 72% in 2096 if they don't do anything. So that would mean you would be losing part of your paychecks, part of your benefits. The two senators offered some specific solutions Friday while steering clear of some of the biggest challenges, saying, quote, there are dozens of considerations being weighed to protect Social Security, including locking early retirement at 62, locking early retirement at 62. Not exactly sure what they're proposing there. An ironclad protection for lower wage workers. I don't know what they're proposing there either. And seeking avenues to increase benefits immediately, which is very interesting. They said in a statement, under what we are discussing, millions would immediately receive more and no one would receive less. So if they can pull this off and get Republicans and Democrats to agree, receiving more and fixing it would be a good thing, similar to Senator Bernie Sanders' bill, which would basically tax the rich more on Social Security benefits, which they stopped paying into after $160,000, and would give people an extra $2,400 a year in Social Security benefits. Yeah. So the discussions, some details of which were reported earlier by Semaphore, are in the early stages. It's far from clear the two senators will be able to agree on a solution that could get enough support to pass in the Senate, let alone pass in Congress, the House and Senate, and get signed into law. But they have to do something. If they keep pushing this off and kicking the can down the road, it's only going to get worse. Biden has weaponized the issue to attack Republicans who, in recent years, have proposed a variety of cuts, such as raising the eligibility age of Social Security, which is technically a cut. You would get less payments if they raise the age, hoping to turn seniors who strongly support the program against the Republicans. But that is one way to keep more money in the program. That's what they did years ago under, I think it was Ronald Reagan. They raised the retirement age. The issue has become wrapped up in the debt ceiling debate as House Speaker Kevin McCarthy calls for spending cuts. but he hasn't identified what to cut and has insisted Social Security and Medicare shouldn't be on the table in the bill to avert a default, but they could still adjust Social Security and Medicare in negotiations after the debt limit negotiations. Democrats are demanding McCarthy to show a plan, saying his demands to balance the budget are impossible without retirement cuts or taxes. um, it's interesting there. Saying, quote, as soon as we have a plan, a fully developed plan, we'll release it for discussion and debate. Taking action is our only option. Inaction now will only make it harder later. We choose to save, strengthen, and secure Social Security. Senator Mitt Romney, Republican from Utah, who was part of the conversations on Social Security, said the talks include a potential sovereign wealth fund. This is one of the potentials. A state owned investment fund to help finance the program. It's ongoing. We're discussing that. The parameters of the approach are being evaluated. It's not locked in concrete yet. It's a reasonable proposition that does not call for changing benefits over the next 75 years. I believe Bernie Sanders' plan would also, that's the exact thing, is it would make it solvent for 75 years. It's interesting there. Mitt Romney says, as a matter of fact, it improves benefits, particularly for people on the low end of the income scales, which is something that would be helpful. That's interesting there. I wonder if he's talking about Bernie Sanders' $2,400 raise benefit plan. Romney also said the higher retirement age, raising the retirement age, is on the table. Yeah. So I will keep you up to date here. They're going to need to adjust some things or make some changes. So if you appreciate these videos, don't forget to hit the like button for us and make sure to click subscribe and then the bell icon afterwards so you don't miss out on new videos. I'll keep you up to date here. New videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's some videos you can watch next. Here's actually some good news for millions of Americans and some other news on Social Security and Medicare, SSI, and SSDI. And here is another video on what Russia just said as a threat to the United States. Yeah, so click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.